Hello and welcome back. It has been quite a couple of weeks for this channel. The views went like that and so did the subscribers. Don't get me wrong, we're still, very small fish in this YouTube game, but it's really exciting that so many of you have connected with the recent videos, especially on this red Aston and even more so on the bare metal Aston. I'm just really glad people are enjoying the content and are excited as much as I am for the journey ahead. Quite a long journey, especially with this one, but I think today I will be working on the bare metal Aston Martin DBS V8. We're going to jump straight into it and essentially finish dismantling the car. Though the car is partially dismantled, it still needs a lot more dismantling. It needs all the glass out, it needs kind of things like handles, locking barrels off, everything like that. I kind of skipped ahead a little bit and started doing metal work, and I've got quite a long way into that, which will be in a later video. But I was so excited to get started with the metal work, I left a few things on and decided I'd get back to them later. But it's now at the point where to properly finish the job and continue working our way through the car, everything needs to come off. Glass out, all the bits, so we can get to every spot on the car and get all the metal work perfect. So let's start dismantling this thing. We need to remove wipers, glass, mirrors, door handles and locking barrels, all window trim and surrounding trim, and the rear number plate light and boot lock. So let's get to work. So there we have it, the rear quarter window is removed and the main window and its frame is removed. It was actually quite a process getting it all out. The motor's still in here for the window, so it's maneuvering everything around it. But actually it was only a bolt here, screw there for the frame, and then the bottom of the frame was attached here, and those two spots. That is where the motor is attached for the window as well. So, but I undid that a while ago when I was messing around with the door. So that is all stripped. This area is all free, and that is the big pillar trim, which we have some spares over there. But you can see now, when it was painted red, it was obviously originally blue, which we've just looked at. When it was painted red, it was obviously done properly because everything was taken out. But then you can see when it was painted silver, pretty harsh lines. So I don't think anything was taken out, which makes sense. It was quite a poor paint job, but we are making progress. Now we move to handles and door locks. The door latch is already removed on this side as it was broken. I've already got a new one, as you probably saw in the last episode, which leaves us just with this to remove on the lock itself. And then two bolts up there for the handle, and one more in there. Look at that. Now we have threaded that piece through from that side, we can go ahead and just undo the 3 bolts, and in theory it should just come out. Then on this one, there's quite a nice little relief hole. So we're going to put our rather extended screwdriver through there and hope for the best. That was far too easy. It's funny with restoration projects, it's little jobs like this which make me feel more anxiety than anything else when I'm dealing with fiddly little bits like this. I love bodywork. If I see a big dent, no problem. You know, this rust, no problem. It's things like this, latch mechanisms. Everything is so fragile and already looks quite tired and complicated. I just hate this stuff. But it all has to be done. It's all part of the bigger picture. But yeah, I might be seeking some advice from you guys when I have to put this back together. Onto the lock. You'll have to excuse if some of these angles are bad. They're quite hard to achieve. Like the door handle, this is actually just finger tight. So that's convenient. So I'm just undoing this rather large nut, and hopefully then it will just allow us to pull back and then remove it. So there we have it. I just had to undo this, and this was a backing plate, and that stopped it from coming out the front like that. Just piece it out, and there we go. Look at that. So this is what it all looked like from the inside. That was sitting over there to stop it from coming out that hole, and then all this big nut did was brace it, and it was very simple. Then obviously that is the mechanism which connects with the latch and all that sort of thing. So nice, easy. So now onto this wing mirror. This is a bit tricky. We can't get a socket in there. There is a very tight bolt there. You can kind of see it. And then another one. We have quite limited access. We can get behind there, but I'm going to resort to using a ratchet spanner and then see what we can do. So I'll check back once I get a grip. Oh, there's another Aston, look. I think we've almost removed one. Please don't drop. Did it. That's one. Come on. Yes. There we go. That is basically a stripped door. Let's have a look from the other side. There we have it. That is one door basically stripped and one frame basically stripped. This is super easy. I don't like taking these off because they bend. I do have another set over there, but the longer I can keep that on, the better. But yeah, there you go. So it was obviously quite well painted when it was red, or well, you know, it was well prepped if they went down this far and removed everything. But when it was silver, they've just kind of taped everything up, and which, yeah, makes a lot of sense. That's where most of the dodgy filling was done. This is the main reason why this door is rubbish. It's full of filler. So I'm curious, when we take the door off and we start kind of chiseling away at that, how much will be left. I've obviously got door options now, so not too concerned, but yeah, it's good. Now time to repeat that whole process on this side. For those of you who are wondering why this side is a lot more uniform, if you haven't seen the earlier video, I did decide to sand this to 400 grit, but I've got to go, that was more because I was going through the whole removal stage of the filler and I was very frustrated and I just wanted to see some progress. So I did this, but I need to go over all of it again. As you can see, there's still a lot of divots in it, which, Lord, my hands, which need to be removed. So that requires me to go back to 80 grit and just get it all flat and lovely again and build our way back up, just like what we've been doing on the boot. So you can see still a couple, but these are so light, and that will not show up, surprisingly. But either way, I will be sanding it anyway until it is completely smooth. So that's got to happen on the whole car. Lots of sanding, lots of sanding. I went to set up the tripod so we could remove these, and I realised, well, maybe I don't need to. It's a bit loose. That was easy. It's dismantling itself. Let's see if the other one is the same. Yeah, it's finger tight. I know it's not meant to be that tight, but you think it'd be a bit better. That other one is a lot bigger and looks a lot more original to me, perhaps. So yeah, we need to get matching ones. Moment of truth. Nice. This also looks like it's going to be far too easy. So you can see this car, someone didn't really take care of it for the final chapter of its life, so that's easy. Well, this would be just as easy. maybe a bit more. Oh, it's still, amazingly, that one's still fitted. Now that one is out. I had to do the old reach around, if you'll excuse my French, to get this one out. So I couldn't really film it, but that's what it should be like. So it just bolts in from the back. So yeah, that is now basically a front end stripped. So I think we are now going to attack the windscreen. But yeah, look, it's been, obviously the seal has been bad for a long time, so people have been putting mastic in it for quite a long time as well. So that all just chips away. So well and truly in need of a new seal. Yeah, look at all that. Or maybe that was original, but I highly doubt it. Obviously it's been out when it was painted red, which is good, but yeah, it's just awful. So for any of you who are thinking of tackling a restoration like this, usually you're warned with lots of things. Oh, it's going to be too expensive, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. The thing I'd warn you about the most are these little razor blades that hold in the chrome trim, which I removed some time ago. These are the amount of cuts I've got from these whilst I was sanding, just you momentarily forget, and they are lethal. You know, you could, well, yeah, I've completely split open my finger actually. See if I, sorry, a bit gross, but you can see that scar, which is quite a decent groove in my finger. Sorry, enough grossness. That is from one of these. So that is the biggest word of warning for taking on these. I'm sure it is similar with other British cars or even American cars of this time for holding kind of chrome stripping in, but yeah, watch out. So I'm going to remove the rear screen first, just because it's a little less scary, and I'll show you why. With the front screen, it's obviously larger and it's curved a lot more, and there's a limited space on the inside for me to basically stop it from falling, all that sort of thing. It's just a bit more of an ordeal. So I want to get some practice first by using the rear screen as the starting point. It's a lot easier. I can also pad in here if anything goes wrong. And essentially the trick is with this, that I've been told, is just to cut along here. Obviously that just exposes it, then it will just lift out. Yeah, it's really daunting. These pieces of glass are about £2,000 each. So yeah, you don't want them to break. As you can see on the red car, that's what's happened here. They've cut the top bit of the rubber, left the base bit in. So hopefully the glass will stay in place and I'll be able to carefully lift up from the inside out and remove it without any casualties. This is definitely the most daunting part of the whole project so far, just because of the value of this piece. So let's do it. So that was just as easy as they claimed it to be. So I've gone down and cut, I've used the edge of the glass essentially as a guide, and more or less cut it quite close. The funny thing is, well, not funny at all, it's the kind of little things that get you with these builds. These window seals, if you get the correct ones, are about £200. So, but they are very well and truly toast even before I started cutting them. So this will be interesting, this next bit. Let's see if we can get it out. What I'm going to do quickly first is just go around the edge like this, just removing or releasing any form of sealant has been put on. What can quite often happen is you get the majority of the glass free, but then a small piece will, you know, especially on corners, will still be sticky and you'll pull up on too much of an angle and then things will crack or chip. So I'm going to go all the way around the edge and just slowly release it from its inner seal. There she is. Very heavy. Relief, relief, relief. So the glass is now out, and now we can just pull all this free. And all the dust from the sanding is free now. There we go. Look at that. Now we can inspect the rust, of which there seems to be very little. Now this is curious, as I showed you earlier, the slight traces on the window pillars of the original colour. We now can see for the first time a bit more of the is it argon blue? I'll have to insert the name of it. There she is. Oh, it looks kind of well, you can kind of just see the colour, but it is actually a very turquoisey blue in person. It looks more kind of like deep blue or black in the camera perhaps, but yeah, wow. What a job, that's good, that's good. The tinted blue glass is lent here for now. I'm going to wrap the edges in foam and then, yeah, foam the whole thing up and then cover it in bubble wrap and hide it away. I am very pleased at how minimal rust is. I mean, this is as bad as it gets on this car, and that is just surface, which is really quite wonderful. I think even though it has been left for a lot of its life, it has always been in a garage. Heard lots of stories about this car and spoke to people who had viewed it at various points who hadn't bought it. Fortunately, I've never been able to speak to a previous owner. I think I was reached out to by a previous owner at one point who was quite offended that I had the car. So I haven't really heard anything truly about the car's past, but other than the bit of vandalism in the 80s. But from what I can tell, a gentleman viewed it in 2004, 2005. He saw it in the classifieds, which I'll insert here. At that point it was red and it was garage stored, quite bad condition, but still garage stored. I know it was garage stored until quite recently, until I got it, and in my ownership it's always been garage stored. So thankfully it hasn't been exposed to the elements in in a particularly bad way. So that's really good. But you can see here where I'm putting my nail. This is the chassis and this is the start of the aluminium skin. So for really intense restorations, they'll leave the roof on, they will cut here, they will detach the car from everything else just here, and it will all lift up. There's not a huge amount of point doing it on this car for a few reasons. It's a very rust-free car, for one, which is fantastic. And secondly, though it is a very beautiful car and it's an Aston and all this sort of thing, it's not a matching numbers car. I'd love to make it a matching numbers car. I'm still trying to figure out how to do that, how to track down the engine. But taking the body off wouldn't really, there'd be no point. You're never going to see that money back. Not that I'm doing it for money, but again, yeah, there's very limited reason to at this point in its life. It's so healthy and rust-free. But anyway, enough nattering. I think it's time now to move on to the front. I'm going to go ahead and cut it and get it ready. My biggest concern now is partly still access, like I mentioned earlier, maneuverability. It was quite easy with the rear end, a bit less with the front, but it's the weight. The rear glass was so heavy. I've never quite felt glass that heavy before. Even in big old Jags that I've worked on, this glass is very thick and heavy, and yeah, not at all. It's not at all forgiving. It doesn't have any kind of wobble in it or anything. So the front is going to be even heavier, which is a bit daunting. It's just me here. I know I should get people down to help me with this, and if something goes wrong, I'll hear it in the comments. But you know what it's like when you want to do something, you want to do it, and I want to do it now. Right, she is as prepped as she can be. So much mastic on this screen in comparison to the rear screen. It's going everywhere. Makes me think, obviously it means the car has been leaking at points, which is no secret. It was doing that even the brief time it was outside in my ownership for a couple of days. But this means there could be more rust hiding in this area, but no big shakes. I'm going to loosen it and then I'll start filming when I attempt to pull it out. It is now free, and now it's the moment of truth. Wish me luck. Now I've got it in the middle. It's one of those moments where you're walking across the road with a piece of glass. Right, enough joking, I should just put it down. Stop tempting fate. Success. Success. So here they both are, both out and perfect, which is quite amazing. Sorry if the camera's a bit shaky, I'm literally shaking, which is a combination of the anxiety and the rather large coffee I had about an hour ago. So here they are. I've pushed the duvet underneath to kind of bunch it up and take a bit of strain off it. But really, I'm not going to move them at all now until I cover it, properly cover everything. But wow, that was quite a demanding job. Incredibly easy, but just stressful. I'm going to quickly clear off this trim, which will be, well, very easy. And this car really does like just to dismantle itself. It's well and truly ready for this, I think. More good news. It is good. I mean, this is where rust always kind of gathers, but I'm just looking underneath it. It's not, it's all surface still, so we've caught everything in time, which is good. I like this car, and I think it likes me. So there she is, almost a totally glassless car. Still need to do that side. But wow, what an achievement. Productive little time. I think I'm gonna have a little clear up of everything and then move on to some more bits of trim we need to get rid of. Today's going way too well. I haven't worked on this car properly in a few weeks. I've been focusing on the red car. And this car is so pleasurable to work on because, well, it's had a much easier life. It's just nice. Everything undoes, typically. And it's much cleaner and there's no rust. But two very different projects with different outcomes or desired outcomes, and they all have their merits. Time to attack this piece, which the screws look pretty tired. It's already kind of breaking apart, so yeah, nice and easy. What is up with this car? No car has ever given me so little grief, dismantling. It's easy when you're putting things back together with nice, clean hardware, but I shouldn't speak too soon. I've still got one more screw to go after this one, but yeah, this car, I suppose it's just had very little exposure to the elements, which is what does the damage. Oh yeah. I'll never get tired of how this boot opens. So cool. Even the electrical connectors are being nice to me. I suppose we did kind of earn it by removing all the filler. It did take 2 months to strip the body safely. So, welcome to the boot. Time to undo the boot latch and the boot release from the inside, and hopefully this is easy. But yeah, apologies for this rather peculiar camera angle. It looks like I'm like a puppet master or something, but anyway, let's do it. That was easy. So that pin just sat in there, so then when I turned the boot, it just triggered that. Simple as that. See how hard it is to get this piece out now? Looks like it's just something I just have to push this. There we go. Look at that. Interesting method. An essential tool for any build that I do is sandwich bags. Let me know what you guys use. So this wasn't actually my plan today, but everything has gone so swimmingly. I will be removing the doors now. The reason I'm doing that is because they have to come off for the remainder of the metal work. I need to sand down all in the jambs and do everything like that. And I also will find it easier to do the doors kind of on a trestle and be able to get there properly with better lighting and be able to see all the angles. Not to mention, this is the door we zoomed in on earlier, which is full of filler just here. So we're gonna get this one off. It won't be returning to the car unless I have it reskinned. I'm not sure, but there's a few door options out there for me right now. So it'll probably just be swapped, but we're gonna remove some of the filler just out of curiosity to see what it's like. And then we will have a fully stripped shell, I think, yeah. Then we can call it a day. It's quite remarkable how shoddy this silver paint is. It's all, oh, it's just nasty. There we have it, door number 1 is off. Now we can see properly the extent of this filler in this door. It's literally, yeah, I mean, that is the metal of the door. So you've literally got a dollop's worth, or this much's worth. It's crazy. The things they did. So I'm just labeling everything up, and of everything that I personally removed, it's left a lot of wires which weren't going anywhere. They're going into the door. I think I know what this is. It's part of a security system I removed in a previous episode. But yeah, so we've got window motor, we've got this little earth, no idea, and I know what that is, and no idea what these are. So maybe locking system. I don't know if it had central locking or some form of that, but yeah, it's curious. You can probably tell the sun is setting. So I really want to get this done so I can roll it outside and just show you it's stripped and call it a day. I've had to tackle this slightly differently due to a few issues getting this retainer off. So I've had to undo it from the inside, and hopefully I'll be able to thread it through. This will make sense in a second, and undo everything, well, here. So hopefully that works, but let's see. Okay, that was the part of the day which was a lot harder. Everything went so well, but that was hard. I need to go to bed. So what a day. We've achieved a lot, actually. I think today's gone a lot better than I thought it would. Didn't expect to be taking the doors off. The car is completely stripped, as you know, so it's just metal work all the way ahead now, and then not sure after that. Haven't thought that far ahead. But yeah, so it's gone really well. Happy the doors are off, happy everything was removed safely, or at least is safe now. I'm not necessarily saying my door removal method was the safest, but anyway, you live and you learn. Thank you again so much for all the support recently. It really does mean the world to me that people are enjoying this content and following this journey. So please like, subscribe, comment, all that sort of thing. In the next episode, I think we're going to be tackling the red car. We might be doing some cutting, which I think will be fun. I won't tell you of what yet, but the angle grinder might be out. So definitely tune in for that. And if you want to see more content, you can go over to the Patreon, and there's way more stuff, daily updates, all that sort of thing. But if not, until next time, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.